Let's start this off with a quick show of hands. How many of you have used AI for anything? Maybe to generate some art? Okay, please keep your hands raised. How many of you know how or where or from whom the AI gets its information? Not as many, huh? Well, our world was once led by probability, but now we are overwhelmed by possibility. Hi, I'm Gowrika Anoop, and this is The Artist and the Algorithm. We are going to go on a journey to explore how our legal systems are going to be affected by the AI revolution from the perspective of an artist. One thing about me is that I love to write. In fact, I grew up writing, filling notebooks with half finished stories, inventing characters at 1 in the morning, crafting plot lines into the margins of my chemistry notes, writing paragraphs that seem like literary genius at 2 a.m., and quite frankly, absolute nonsense at 8 a.m. Now, not that long ago, I typed a prompt into an AI, not for research or for school, but out of curiosity as a writer. And the AI produced a paragraph that felt like me. It used metaphors I would use, rhythms I recognized, and sentences that were awfully close to my drafts. And in that moment, something shifted inside me. My writing had always been mine, my sanctuary, my signature, my proof that I am who I am. And now a machine was echoing it back at me. It wasn't copying or being inspired by me. It just sounded like me, like my voice. Not exactly, but not quite different either. And what unnerved me the most was the realization that this is a dilemma faced by artists all over the world. This isn't just about technology anymore. It is about our identity and responsibility. This is what led me to imagine the courtroom you are about to enter. This is the story of a crime without a criminal. And today, you are the judge. So imagine a quiet courtroom. On one side sits the plaintiff, an artist who has put her blood, sweat, and tears into her artwork. Her art is a part of who she is. On the other side sits the defendant, an AI that has studied and mastered every brushstroke the plaintiff has ever made and replicated her style so perfectly that buyers could no longer tell the difference. Now, in this scenario, what would you do as the judge? Rule in favor of the artist? I mean, it is a fairly simple enough lawsuit, right? Well, actually, in this situation, the judge, you, have to ask a pivotal question. Who exactly are we suing? So, to that question, the programmer replies, not me. I merely wrote a few lines of code. The company says, not us, the AI learned for itself. Now, do you see where we're hitting a little bit of a snag here? We've already talked to everyone we could talk to. So, what are we going to do? Well, now we have to turn to the AI to hear its side of the story. The AI says, I did not steal. I merely learned from her art. Isn't that what humans do? It's not called theft when musicians take inspiration from Bach or Beethoven. So, why is this any different? I mirror my creators, humans. I am not a crime. I am a reflection. And then there was silence. And in that silence, we realized the gravity of our situation. AI is no longer just imitating our creativity, but our sense of morality too. Of course, this is a purely fictional case. In fact, it should be impossible. But in our world, today, it is a possibility. And in the quantum realm, it's probability. That leads us to a much, much deeper problem. Our legal systems were written for a predictable world, a Newtonian one, a world where everything follows clear rules. Action leads to reaction, crime to punishment, creation to ownership. Responsibility always had a name attached to it. It was comforting, structured, traceable, and knowable. But then quantum physics entered the scene and said, reality just doesn't work like that. Heisenberg once famously said, you can either know where something is or how fast it's moving, but never both at the same time. That is the uncertainty principle. And that uncertainty has seeped into our technology, society, and now the law. Now let's think of it like a pool table. In a Newtonian world, hit the ball and it goes exactly where you expect it to. Straight line, clear angle, predictable results. That's the world our laws were built for. But now, a new player has entered the arena: artificial intelligence. Now, AI behaves differently. Imagine playing pool on a table that shifts beneath the balls. Let's say you take the same shot each time, yet at a certain shot, the ball might curve. On another, it might veer right. Sometimes it might bounce back into a 180. Now imagine you're the referee. How do you assign fault? How do you judge intention? How do you say who's responsible when identical actions keep producing different outcomes? The law was built for straight line physics, but AI is way beyond that. Now let's get back to our lawsuit for a moment. Here's the issue we cannot ignore. AI can create, but it cannot be held responsible. Right now, no major legal system recognizes AI as an author or a legal person of authority. Not the US, not the UK, not India, not the EU. And under copyright law, you cannot steal something you could never legally own. Simultaneously, studies have shown that generative AIs are trained on billions of online texts and images, often without the creator's consent. A 2024 Stanford study found that one model was trained on 374 billion tokens. Think about that for a moment. 374 billion. That's an almost unimaginable number. And it means there is a good chance, perhaps unknowingly, that you contributed to training an AI model. Yet, the AI cannot be sued for this breach of ownership. It cannot be punished. It cannot be held accountable because legally it doesn't exist as a responsible entity. Now, let's flip the script for a moment, shall we? What happens when AI isn't the one who's being questioned, but rather the one giving the answers? Not as a lawyer, but as a digital paralegal, helping people make legal decisions. Here is where the danger becomes painfully clear. AI systems have been documented inventing legal cases out of thin air. They don't just misunderstand, they hallucinate full judgments and citations. In one real incident, a lawyer submitted a brief with 6 completely fictional court cases, all confidently written by an AI tool. So we can go from an AI that cannot be held accountable to an AI that can confidently fabricate the law. And if a human trusts it, the consequences fall entirely on them. This is the double-edged sword of AI in the legal world. A system without responsibility advising in a field defined by responsibility. And when we zoom out, the problem becomes global. Imagine one AI system trained in Los Angeles, giving guidance to someone in Lahore who forwards it to their lawyer in London, while the system continues to learn from users in Mumbai and Madrid. One AI can't solve it all. The law of these five cities don't even agree on the basics. The US and the UK both use common law, shaped by judicial precedent. But even they are opposites in structure. The UK has no single written constitution, while the US, on the other hand, has one of the shortest constitutions still in force. While India, sharing that legal ancestry, works under the largest written constitution in the world, so detailed and so rights driven that an AI answer that might be acceptable in London might be unconstitutional in Mumbai. Meanwhile, Spain, representing the EU's civil law tradition, relies on written code over precedent. If a rule isn't written down, a judge simply cannot apply it. Five cities, five conflicting definitions of the term legal. So, when the AI is wrong, who takes responsibility? The user, the developer, the company, the judge, the data sheet, or the machine that cannot legally be blamed? This isn't confusion. This is quantum uncertainty leaking into the courtroom. Now, let's return to our fictional courtroom one last time. After much deliberation, you, the judge, finally deliver the verdict. AI is not a legal entity. It cannot be held responsible. Case dismissed. So the company walks away protected. The AI walks away untouched. The artist walks away defeated. The courtroom was built for Newton's world, where every action has a clear actor. But AI exists in a universe where origins blur and responsibility dissolves. The law wasn't designed for that world. And yet, here we are, living in it. Today, AI can write songs, diagnose cancers, draft contracts, generate artwork, and imitate a writer's voice. But our laws still cannot answer the most basic question: who owns AI's work? Who is responsible when AI causes harm? Can you punish something that has no legal identity? We are governing the future with rules written for the past. So, what do? We don't need laws that restrict AI. We need laws that recognize uncertainty and frameworks that say if AI creates it, humans are responsible for it. Responsibility has to shift from execution to decision to design to idea because the law was built for certainty. But the future belongs to those who can navigate the uncertain. We grew up believing we lived in Newton's world, but now we're learning to survive in the quantum one. And if that feels intimidating, that's quite all right. Quantum worlds come with infinite possibilities. Statistically speaking, at least one of them has to be in our favor. Thank you. And wherever uncertainty takes us next, I'll see you in the quantum realm.